Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Maria. Thank you for joining me. I made this video earlier for Jupiter's ingress into the sign of Taurus, but because I focused so much on the conjunction with the North Node, I decided to publish it now, closer to it. I hope you'll find value in it nevertheless. I have some good news and some bad news. Luckily, bad news come first. Our planet of expansion, opportunity, the Great Protector Jupiter, has entered the sign of Taurus. In bad news first fashion, it made a square to Pluto in the sign of Aquarius as soon as it ingressed Taurus. Pluto is one very determined and persistent planet. It doesn't care how, but it will reach its goal. Just remember the story of Hades and Persephone. Hades, aka Pluto in Roman mythology, fell in love with beautiful Persephone, but could not imagine she would willingly accept to come to the underworld to be with him. So he decided to abduct her, bring her to the underworld, and make her his wife. What this story tells us is Pluto doesn't take anyone's feelings, opinions, or wishes in consideration. It doesn't ask permission. It makes a plan and sticks to it, no matter what. Pluto always means transformation. As we all know, transformation comes from within, and it's never pleasant. Jupiter, on the other hand, is all over the place. It wants everything and anything. It can promise whatever and never follow through with its promise. It is overly optimistic. It can seem naive at times because it believes in absolute justice. Right at its ingress into Taurus, Pluto asks Jupiter to take its task seriously this time, not to overpromise or make 1,000 opportunities that no one can take. This time, Jupiter needs to follow Pluto's rules, even if it isn't thrilled about it. Jupiter needs to give us all opportunities we can actually use to our benefit. If someone has initiated something during Jupiter's time in Aries, Jupiter should support them on their journey and give them resources to keep going forward. In case someone needs to initiate something now, Jupiter should create an obvious opportunity and allow for slow and steady growth. Since Pluto is retrograde, this conflict will happen psychologically within us. You know how they say it first gets worse before it gets better? Well, that's the situation we have here. On the 20th of May, Mars ingresses into the sign of Leo. That means it makes an opposition to Pluto and a square to Jupiter. This configuration is called a T-square. In this particular case, it is a fixed T-square because all of the planets involved in this T-square are in fixed signs. The reason why this T-square is so important and powerful is Pluto. Pluto is in the sign of Aquarius for the first time in our lifetime here on Earth. Jupiter may be in Taurus every 12 years, and Mars may be in Leo every other year. They may even square each other, but never before was Pluto in the mix. The opposition between Mars and Pluto puts even more pressure onto Jupiter than Pluto did on its own. Mars is the planet of action, passion. It has restless energy to it. In the sign of Leo, it can really be itself. Leo is the sign of creativity. Our need to create something inflates when Mars is in Leo. Like when spark from an existing fire creates another fire. How I visualize this aspect is flames of an underground fire reaching to the surface and trying to touch the sky. The fire, which is trying to expand outside its pit. The fire is not just trying to expand, it has support to do so. Let me add nodes of the moon into this story and make this T-square a grand fixed cross. Nodes of the moon are 2 calculated points in the sky. Nevertheless, they carry some of the most powerful energies. Currently, the North Node is in the sign of Taurus, and South Node is in the sign of Scorpio. Lunar nodes are exactly 180 degrees apart. In astrology, we say the energy of a T-square can be released through the sign in omission. Fixed signs are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. As you can see, if we wanted to release the energy of Jupiter-Pluto-Mars T-square, we would have to do it through Scorpio. Interestingly enough, there is a South Node in Scorpio. South Node pushes us to release fears, traumas, and beliefs regarding the sign and house it currently transits. We have a double whammy here. Scorpio area of our charts is the area where the release needs to happen. The tension from this fixed grand cross will build up until Jupiter conjoins the North Node in the sign of Taurus. The North Node represents everything we desire and are hungry for. Imagine a hungry child is faced with a table full of food. It eats and never feels full. It just can't control itself. That child is us in the area where North Node is. When Jupiter conjoins the North Node, all of our desires will be amplified. Everything we wanted from the Taurus area of our chart will expand even more. Everyone wants material stability, but now earning a good salary won't feel enough. Your home may seem not big enough, your car not expensive enough. We will all suddenly desire even more than before. Jupiter conjoins the North Node on 3 degrees of the sign of Taurus. In astrology, the moon is exalted in the sign of Taurus. As a matter of fact, it is considered 3 degrees is its exact exaltation point. Why is this important? Because a day before Jupiter conjoins the North Node, Moon is going to enter the sign of Scorpio, the sign of its fall. We consider a planet or a luminary in the case of Moon to be in the fall position when it is in the opposite sign from its exaltation. Opposite from Taurus is Scorpio. So Moon enters the sign of Scorpio, and after a few hours it conjoins the South Node on 3 degrees of Scorpio. If its exaltation point is 3 degrees of Taurus, you can imagine 3 degrees of Scorpio is Moon's fall point. What happens when Moon meets the South Node? As we said previously, there is a release that needs to happen through the sign of Scorpio. Moon represents our emotions, our mind, our physical body. When tension builds up in us, we think about it and we feel it both emotionally and physically. When it conjoins the South Node, Moon will find a way to release all the tension that built up in us. The outlet for this release can be anything. Be careful not to snap on the day. Say or do something you'll later regret. Scorpio represents our psychological trauma. It represents our psychological and emotional self. This is why Moon does not operate well in Scorpio. All of the emotions that we were bearing inside of us become illuminated when Moon or Sun cross the sign of Scorpio. When Moon is in Scorpio, we get more emotional than usual. That is the peak of the grand fixed crossed energy. From then on, we release. This event is very important because it precedes the Jupiter North Node conjunction by a day. Something in us will change and an opening will be created so we can receive whatever Jupiter North Node conjunction has to give us. The risk here is greediness of the North Node. Don't be a magpie. You don't have to take everything that shines. There is Saturn watching you. In time, Saturn can triple whatever you receive if you don't let greed get the best of you. I can't emphasize enough how important Saturn is. Back in the day, in May 1929, to be precise, we also had Jupiter North Node conjunction in the sign of Taurus. Back then, it was happening on 21 degrees, about the same point where Mercury and Uranus will make a conjunction on June 4th. Saturn was retrograde in the sign of Capricorn on 0 degrees, practically moved back to Sagittarius, which means Saturn didn't make any aspect to the Jupiter North Node conjunction. I'll remind you, Great Depression happened in the autumn of 1929. Economy was destroyed. One couldn't find food to put on the table. Doesn't sound very prosperous and promising, does it? That's because there were no repercussions from Saturn. No one to say, no, you're not doing it the right way. It seemed as if abundance will flow towards us forever. Luckily, this time around, we have Saturn to help us out and gently put boundaries where boundaries are needed. A Venus retrograde, as well as Mercury conjoining Uranus, are also a part of this story. But I'll leave that for another video. Jupiter North Node will happen on the 1st or 2nd of June, depending on your time zone. As tension is waning in the first week of June, Venus joins the party. On June 5th or 6th, Venus ingresses into the sign of Leo. Mars moved on, but now Venus, the Lord of Taurus, makes an opposition to Pluto, and just briefly reactivates the ground fixed cross energy. Venus plays a pivotal role in our Jupiter story during the summer. It's going to spend 4 months in the sign of Leo, squaring Jupiter in Taurus, the sign it rules. Jupiter is under Venus's influence because it's in Venus's home, so to speak. We could say Jupiter takes directives from Venus on how it can or cannot behave. Venus is going to be retrograde during the summer, which means it won't be in mood for guests. Quarrels between Venus and Jupiter are inevitable this summer. Finally, on September 4th, Jupiter will pull back, or in astro terminology, retrograde. It's going to make last square to Venus on September 16th. That will be something like a farewell conversation. Some relationships may literally end on that day, after a relationship-wise very difficult summer. During Jupiter retrograde time, everyone will get the opportunity to revise what has changed during the last 4 months. Jupiter stations direct right on time for everyone to make a wish on December 31st. Next big event will be on April 20th, 2024, when Jupiter is going to conjoin Uranus on 21 degrees of Taurus. Since the beginning of its transit through the sign of Taurus until its conjunction with Uranus, Saturn is Jupiter's biggest support. Saturn is currently transiting Pisces and sextiles Jupiter from there almost the entire time. Saturn helps Jupiter create good, long-lasting opportunities and structures. Jupiter doesn't normally take quality and longevity into consideration, so we can consider ourselves lucky this time around. Jupiter leaves the sign of Taurus on May 25th, 2024. I hope you heard something useful by now. If you did, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Now I'll go over how is this transit going to impact each rising sign. This is a general forecast. I use tropical zodiac and whole sign house system. Aries rising. Jupiter is transiting your second house. In the first few months of its transit, you may have a crisis regarding your self-esteem, material possessions, your ability to earn, or your spending habits. It may be you've recently become an entrepreneur and your business needs time to grow in order for you to earn as you used to. Maybe you've separated from a partner and can't afford the same lifestyle as before. Maybe your salary doesn't meet social expectations and you feel less than. Slow and steady wins the race, as they say. Whatever it is, you will find a solution to it by the end of the year. As a matter of fact, Jupiter has a surprise regarding your finances next year. You will become more resourceful and financially secure by the end of this transit. Taurus rising. It's all about you. Jupiter is transiting your sign for the next year. Find your ascendant degree and pay attention to the date when Jupiter is going to cross it. Those few days are going to be the most important for you, especially if you have ascendant on 5, 15 or 21 degrees. For you, this transit is most likely to bring an identity crisis in the first few months. Your physical appearance may change. Actually, the way you view yourself is going to change by the end of this transit. You're going to receive a gift from universe during this year. This gift can be a talent, a skill, a perfect job, or a perfect person. Maybe even a perfect location or teacher. Something or someone you'll be able to hold on for a long time. Gemini rising. Peace is the key word for you, Gemini. During this year, while Jupiter is in the sign of Taurus, you're either going to find your inner peace or you will have so much on your plate that you'll desperately need peace. Maybe you'll move to an island or to another continent. Sometimes during this transit, people get the opportunity to stay in an isolated place, a resort, a temple, or under not so pleasant circumstances, a hospital. You may discover a new spiritual path or change your beliefs. Something that is happening in your immediate environment with your siblings, cousins, or neighbors can make you retreat to your inner world. I would advise against using any recreational drugs or even alcohol because with Jupiter in your 12th house, you may easily lose control. Cancer rising. You're amongst the really lucky ones. All of your money and luck houses are affected by this transit. You'll make a very lucrative investment. Investment doesn't necessarily mean money. It can be time you'll invest in your social groups or hobby. It can be knowledge you decide to invest in someone or multiple people. Whatever you invest during this year will come back to you multiple times over in the future. Socializing or joining a club or a group is particularly important during this year. Nurture your connections because they will bring you benefits later on. It is the right time to dream big, but realistic dreams. It counts only if it can come true. Make a strategy, but be realistic about it. Leo rising. All Leo risings I know are workaholics. Status means a lot to them. I believe this transit is here to shake the situation up a bit. Your public image, your career are going to be boosted, probably very suddenly. It is going to be a dream come true. If you wanted a promotion, you'll get it. If you wanted to earn more, you'll earn more. If you wanted to be famous, you'll be famous. Wanted a spouse, a child? No problem. The thing is, by the end of this transit, there is a disruption. I believe that disruption is going to change how you view yourself and your life. Your public image is going to be disrupted. There is a lesson in it. You'll enjoy this transit till the very end of it. Finally, you'll learn an important life lesson. Virgo rising. Jupiter is transiting your 9th house. If you're currently studying for a degree, this transit is incredibly beneficial. Higher education of any kind is supported by this transit. Mentorship is supported as well. You can be a mentor to others or someone can mentor you. Teaching anything, but especially fine arts, gardening, something in regards to fashion and beauty, or languages, is favored. Either traveling or moving to a foreign land. Working with foreigners. For some of you, it can mean you'll communicate more in a language that is not your native or primary language. Your father may be more involved in your life than before. The only downside to this transit I can think of is you can have issues with the justice system. Libra rising. First, I'll state the obvious. You may receive a large sum of money through investment, inheritance, or a partner. What I personally see more often when I work with clients is they found a steady work opportunity during a transit like this. It's always a job they enjoy and pays well. So if you wanted to find a new job, this is the right time. This doesn't apply to entrepreneurs, only people who work for someone else. Another option is you may discover a skill you didn't know you had, just something you're good at naturally. If you had any pending court cases, they should pick up speed during this transit. Maybe they even get resolved. Scorpio rising. Jupiter's transit through your 7th house is going to bring your relationship to a new level. You can get married or engaged. You may enter a new business partnership. Either some positive development if you have children or surprise, not so surprise, pregnancy can happen. There is a general focus towards others. Practically a continuation of the storyline which began in 2021, when the North Node entered your 7th house. Maybe you'll be mentoring or teaching someone. If you initiated a new routine during last few months, since December last year, a partner may join you from now on, or maybe you'll start a new routine with a partner during this transit. Sagittarius rising. Are you ready to be busier than ever? I hope you are. If you have plans to move, now is the time. Are you considering a new pet? Now is the time to bring it home. Maybe you already have a pet or pets. They'll need more attention during this transit. Your health may become one of your biggest concerns. Maybe you'll need to change your diet or take some supplements, exercise more. Your colleagues or extended family can become more involved in your life or give you some invaluable advice in this period. Maybe you decide to renovate or start a garden at home. Maybe you'll devote more time to a hobby, turning into a daily activity. If you're currently not working from home, that may change during this transit. Capricorn rising. First and foremost, this transit can bring you more passion than ever. You can use it as you see fit. You can use it towards a hobby and create something magical. You can use it for sex and dating. You can even use it on gambling, although I would not recommend you go that route. You're a Capricorn after all, no free money for you. Doing sports recreationally may be something you'll particularly enjoy during this transit. Some of you may enter a hidden or forbidden relationship. Maybe you become lovers with a married person, or separated but not divorced. Maybe you fall in love with someone from a different religion or different cultural background. It may be a long-distance relationship that depends on regular communication. Finally, maybe you'll educate your children about spirituality, religion, foreign places, etc. Aquarius rising. It looks like a full house. Either you're moving or you're renovating. Maybe your siblings want to move back into the family home. Maybe you'll have a lot of friends and family members who will sleep over. Unexpected guests as well. If you don't work from home, maybe that will change during this transit. Also, if you have a side gig that you do from home, it may need more space. A lot more family tales may be told during this year. Maybe you'll even want to write them down to preserve them for future generations. Maybe you'll expand or make a decision to expand the family. Pisces rising. I can tell you one thing for sure. Jupiter in the 3rd house won't make your life easier. You'll have more things to do than ever. Your siblings or children may need your help. You'll have to commute or travel more frequently. Back to office type of situation. Maybe you'll learn a new skill or language. You will communicate more with others in general. If you're a writer, work in media, or have social media presence, this transit can bring you some level of fame. You can become an elementary school teacher, tutor to young children, or even become an au pair. You'll have to use your skills, knowledge, and personality to earn money in this next year. Let me know in the comments how did this transit affect you, and don't forget to stay in touch for more astrology-related content.